Hello, in this video I'm going to show you how you can use adjustment layers to affect all the different layers in your layer stack, and this is particularly useful for composites where it can help the different elements gel together. You can see here I have a composite image where I have my girl on one layer with the background image underneath. Now I'm going to click the create adjustment layer icon here at the bottom of the layers panel and choose curves, and you'll see how this creates a new layer above my two layers here in my layer stack, and I can use this layer to make adjustments to affect all the layers underneath. So I can drag up or down on the curve line here to lighten or darken the composite image. So I'm going to drag up in the highlights there and then click and create a second point here in the shadows, and then drag down to darken the overall image and create a boost in contrast like that. Now I can build up the effect with different adjustment layers, so I'm going to add a color balance adjustment layer this time, and then drag down on the cyans to cool down the tones, and perhaps drag up on the blue slightly to create a bluish finish like that. And I can toggle the layers on or off to see the effect they have on my composite, and also just lower the layer opacity if I want to tone down the effect slightly. And I can double click the icon here to access the individual settings for each adjustment layer anytime if I want to tweak them. And I think perhaps we could add a photo filter adjustment layer, and we'll choose the yellow filter to give our image more of a retro feel. And I'm also going to apply a cross-process effect with curves. So I'm going to highlight the top layer and then click the create adjustment layer icon again and choose curves again. This time I'm going to choose a different color channel from the channel drop down here. So we'll choose the blue channel, and I'm going to drag up on the bottom left point here to add some blue into those shadow tones, and drag down slightly on the top right point to add some yellow into the highlights. And then we can switch to the red channel, and we'll create a shallow S-shaped curve like this just to add some red into the highlights and some cyan into the shadows. Then we could go to the green channel. I can drag up on that slightly just to add a touch of green like that. And I think if we go back to the RGB channel, we could also do with another boost in contrast. So you can see how very quickly and easily we can build up different tonal effects on different adjustment layers, and these are all fully editable, so we can click on them, we can turn them on or off, and we can tweak them however we like, whenever we like, which gives you ultimate control over the finished look of the image. Now another way in which we can make the different elements gel together is by applying effects on top. So I'm going to add a texture and then use a blend mode to blend it in with my image. So I have a texture image here. I'm just going to grab the move tool and click on it here, and then drag it up to the tab of my other image, and then still holding the mouse button down, I'm going to drag down into the image, and that will place my texture on top, and then I can just drag it into position using the move tool. Now I can blend the pixels on this texture layer with all of the pixels on the layers below by using a blend mode. So I'm going to click on the blend mode drop down here at the top of the layers panel, and I'm just going to choose dissolve, and you can see how this gives me a blue box around the blend mode options here. I can then use my mouse wheel to cycle through the different modes like this. It's always a good idea just to experiment with different modes. You can also use the keyboard shortcut Shift plus or Shift minus to cycle through the modes in the same way. So let's just keep going through them until we find one that works. I think perhaps the soft light blend mode is working well for this particular image, or perhaps overlay. I'm not sure which. Overlay gives us a slightly more intense finish, but we can also soften the effect by lowering the layer opacity. So I'm going to bring the opacity of that layer back down to about 58%, and if I toggle it on or off, you can see the effect that has over the image, where it's giving us a nice retro feel. And there we go, that's the finished image. So that's how you can transform the look of your images and composites using adjustment layers and textures with blend modes. Thanks for watching.